Hi, and welcome back. A couple of housekeeping things before we jump into this video. I wanted to let everybody know that I'm trying to release videos on a schedule now. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Central Time, I'm going to try to do a short that gives a little indication of what I'm working on. And then on Sundays at 10, I'll release probably a longer video that, was what I worked on that week. I'd also like to thank everybody for watching a 60-something-year-old convert a van. I appreciate everybody who has subscribed, and if you haven't subscribed yet and you watch today's video and you think that you want to follow along as well, I certainly appreciate that. So please think about subscribing. It's incredible the number of people that watch and aren't subscribers. And on the flip side, thank you to those of you who have subscribed. I think today's video is pretty special. I feel like I've Googled YouTube looking for people that have installed actuator lift beds, and there really aren't a lot. I saw one, and that was what prompted me when I heard the guy talking about easy topper lift. I thought that's pretty incredible. Why isn't anybody else doing that? So I did look at HappiJac. I looked at fixed beds, a lot of different bed designs, but I definitely wanted to maximize the room in the van, so a lift bed was really an attractive idea to me. Installing the actuators had a lot of interdependencies, and so there's a lot of different activities in this video. And what I did to help you out with that was I actually created chapters in the video. So you can jump right ahead to the actuator install if you want to, or you can watch the whole video and get some updates and sneak peeks into some of the other things that are coming up. So thanks for watching, enjoy the video, and we'll see you later. The other thing that I want to say is that there's no affiliation and no sponsorship from Easy Topper Lift, although there probably should be. Easy Topper Lift, call me. I feel like I've been just all over the place lately. It's been so much going on. My batteries arrived, nice, and I had to charge those up. I received an email with them saying that they needed to be charged up right away. They can't sit for 3 months. And so I learned a little bit about that. Dylan and I, my son-in-law, we've been working on the retaining wall, and he had to take a break. So I've been trying to work on that alone, but literally I think we've probably spent a week and a half on that, and it's coming along, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot of work. So I feel like I'm really torn about, do I keep working on that and get it done, or should I take a little time off and work on the van, but I'm sore. Well, today I did run into town and I bought the blocks for the retaining wall, the caps. So I've got those here now, and I probably should unload those. But I also spent a little bit of time this morning going through my Kanban board updates just to see, oh, I just unlocked that. Just to see, hang on, I gotta go get the keys. I've been trying to figure out what I need for my solar too. So I did get up on the ladder yesterday and I cut out some sample panels out of cardboard and just put them up there to see where they best fit. And today, while I was out shopping for my retaining wall block caps, I also bought some mounting hardware for the solar panels. So I've been a little bit all over the place, and this morning I went through my Kanban board, just to regroup myself and see what I should be working on. Come on, open up. Uh-oh. I think I need a new battery in the van too. Add it to the list, man. But anyway, all that aside, I've also been researching wiring, buying wiring, trying to figure out when I run the wiring. But all that aside, what I think I need to work on next is the placement of the actuators, because I feel like there is not a lot of wiggle room in where they need to go, and I want to get them installed sooner versus later. But in order to do that, I have to have something to mount them to, which means I need to build one of my cabinets. One thing leads to another. So this is what I've been trying to figure out, the order of everything and what needs to happen next. But I want to get those actuators in. Other things like where light switches go, or, something like that, all of that can be there's a little flexibility in some of those things, but the actuators have to be in specific positions, you know, for the bed to rise evenly on all four corners. So I think that I am going to start building that cabinet, which is something I've never done, which is like everything else I've never done here. I've been feeling a little unsure about that, but I'm going to pull out the stove, which will go in the cabinet, and give the cabinet some thought, and try to get some measurements and just get started on that cabinet. So immediately following that, I can start on the actuator installation. But before I do that, I got to put these blocks away. So here's the cabinet that I need to build, and probably this one as well, because, so this is just a cabinet with drawers here. This is where the stove is going to go, and then that's a propane tank holder over there. The actuator, one of the actuators is going to go down in there, and then it'll mount onto the cabinet wall. And same over here, there'll be an actuator. It'll mount in a different place, but it's going to be part of the cabinet. So I think those need to be built so I can get those actuators in. The other two will be in these two back corners, and that's a little easier, These are my two cardboard cutouts that are solar panels that I took up on the roof just to see where I want to position things. One of the things that I did was I put my skylight right in the middle of my van ceiling, which probably in hindsight was a mistake. And then I've got my fan here. So what I'm going to have to do with my solar panels is put one here, one this way, and two this way. And I think they're literally going to stick out over the back of the van, I don't know, an inch or two maybe. I'll snug them up as close to the skylight as I can. But like I say, in hindsight, you know, I should have thought a little harder about where I was placing the skylight. I had just seen a video about a guy who said it was really nice to go in the middle of the van because it let light in throughout the whole van. So I thought that's a great idea, and that's what I rolled with. But now I'm going to use one of these cardboard panels to sketch out the dimensions and the layout of my cabinet that I'm going to build. So here is the stovetop oven that I bought forever ago. It's Dometic, and it's the R31, S31 series. And I just unpacked it. I was looking for the manual. You want to take a peek inside? I actually have the hookup cables in here, but it's nice. So anyway, I dug the manual out because if I'm building this cabinet, I need to check out the dimensions and just understand how it mounts inside this cabinet. So we've got our cabinet, our stove cabinet, and our tank for gas. That'll all be sealed. We got some toe kicks. So I'm going to cut this piece, this piece, this piece, and this piece. And then we'll start fitting them together with cross braces. I've been going through all of the measurements for the oven. I've got those exactly, so I think we know what we're doing in here. So I think we're ready to get started. This is the back wall that I was just getting ready to cut. And I think that I'm going to go in the van. I know there's some curvature to it. I think I'm going to make a cardboard cutout and see how dramatic that is before I actually cut this. Yeah, I'll be right back. If that fits, we might have just created a template for the others. Let's go check our fit. Wow, you can't complain about that. Piece number 2. I'm gonna go cut another one now. We got 3 pieces cut. All right, I finished cutting everything and I put it inside the van just to take a look at it. And then I realized that I didn't leave any room for the face of the cabinets, which is like a 1/4 inch plywood. So I'm going to take a 1/4 inch off of all these boards on the back wall, which is hard because that was the curved part of the wood. But at least I caught it. So that's what I'm just going to do real quick. And then I'm worried too about assembling this because it's going to be really heavy. I don't know if I'll be able to lift it all in the van myself, so I might decide to build it in pieces or something. That's better. Nice. Okay. Now it's good. Good. I'm doing a test fit of my oven cabinet before I glue it together. I threw some quick screws in it and I've just got it sitting here with clamps, but it's a good fit. It's not sliding all the way back because it's actually hitting my clamp, and that's fine. But it looks good. I'll drill a hole through here for the gas line that will feed into the locker that will be there, the propane locker. And then all that space underneath we'll be able to build into a drawer. Nice. This has gone actually pretty well. Time to screw it and glue it. Okay, here's where we are. I essentially built this whole cabinet in my garage. That's for the stove. This is the wall that I wanted mounted. So all I did here, just for now, because I want to put my actuator in up here, and I needed a solid wall here, but it all kind of felt like it went together. All I did was secure this to the wall and to the floor using 3 brackets. I'll build this out later, and that might be a little hard not having it in the garage, but that's what I'm going to do. The other thing that I decided to hold on that I'll finish later, this is where my propane tank is going to go as well. So I've only cut 1 board for that. I've got a lot of work to do here. But I feel good about having this in, which is, like I said, it was a need. And people are probably like, why didn't you just put that in? Well, I felt like it all went together. Like I couldn't just put this piece in. I wanted to make sure everything fit and that I had the right amount of room for everything. So over here, I think I'm going to do the same thing. This is my sink, and it's a little weird. This is actually the cutout of my sink that I got. It's big. It's like 22 by 18. So this is the space that I have allocated for it. And what's going to happen is, let's get our actuator. This is our actuator cardboard template. It's going to be sitting down in here. My actuator either be this way or this way. I'm not sure. And then it'll be inside this cabinet, and there will be a hole in the top of the counter where the actuator comes up and, elevates. So this side's a little different. The measurements on this side are slightly different than the measurements on this side. So in this case, I'm able to get it inside of the wheel well. In this case, my water tank butts right up to the edge of this seat bench. So, there's just some different nuances here. So like I said, I want to frame this out, and I'm not going to do too much. I think I'm just going to do 2 sides, one here, and some cross beams to hold it in place, because I know I'm going to have plumbing under here. There's going to be other cupboards I'm going to be installing. So, in the sink, etc. So I'm just going to do a basic frame enough such that I can, figure out where in here I want to mount the actuators. Now that I finally have that one piece cut to where I want, I'm kind of thinking I might just screw it in and not build the second wall. I think I'll try to make sure it's level, screwed into the bench. And maybe that's a mistake, but I have to build this whole tower, which is going to be floor to ceiling, and the rest of the sink. But if I'm installing an actuator in here, it might be nice to have that space to work. I'm screwing it in. We're going to get the actuators installed. And then if I have to get a new battery for the van, that'll be perfect because I'll have that compartment open. And I made the decision that for the lift bed, I am going to hook it up to my vehicle battery. Just in case my solar batteries are ever dead, I can still operate the bed. Here's one of the topper lift actuators. They come with these connectors and, you know, a nice length of wire for each one. This is the bracket that I'll be mounting to those walls that I just installed. So that's why I wanted those walls in there. I'll be putting these in and then, you know, screwing that in. These are great. They're heavy, but that's what will keep, it's part of what will keep this level and in place. And then the other thing that's nice is this is what I'll use for the bed. It fits, there's a hole right here on top of the actuator, and I'll slide that in there and bolt it in, and that gives me another 6 inches, which is great because I'll need that. I don't, you know, I want the bed all the way up to the ceiling, but I don't want to be climbing really high when I'm climbing up into bed, so I'll use that up there to elevate the bed even further and then fit the bed frame on that flat part of the bracket. So that's what we're looking at. I'm going to take a quick look through the mounting instructions. Of course, this is instructions for mounting this inside of a truck, not a van, for a bed lift. So as my friend Diane says, my house flipping friend Diane, I'm going to go put my mad scientist cap on now. I've taken some measurements of all the cables. These are the longest ones. They're about 9 feet long. So these two will go in the rear of the van, run along the side walls. This is what they call the jumper cable. It'll hop across from one side of the van to the other, and you'll connect these to the switch, which is then connected to the cable that goes to the battery, and that is 25 feet long. And I've got everything plugged in, and so I'm going to label where all these go. Before I actually do that, I'm going to hook this up to my car battery one more time and just make sure that the configuration that I have together here works. And then I'm going to start mounting the actuators in the van. Okay, all hooked up to the car. Let's go see, run a test, and then if this works, I'm going to mark all these connections. There they go. Nice and quiet. Can't even hear them. And then when we put it down, it gives a little beep, beep, beep like a backup truck. Maybe I'll leave them extended and install them extended. Okay, we're there. All right. Next step, install the physical actuators in the van. Okay, after a bunch of mad scientists deliberating, this is what I've come up with. I took a couple of 2x4s, I screwed them together, and I put a piece on the top. The actuators come with these mounting brackets, which is going to fit on here. And they're going to sit down in here. And what I'm going to do eventually is put a couple bolts through this wall, holding this in place. The instructions say, first you get your actuator in place, and I'm actually going to put this as far back here as I can, because I want to have that hidden. And then we mount this where we want it, and then you put your bracket in at the bottom and you make sure that everything's level. And the height looks good to me. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but the height looks pretty good. When the actuators are down, this is the height that the bed will be, so it's not, which is almost countertop height, so it's not like I have to climb up, too high to get into bed. That'll be nice. And it's also in line with the bottom of the windows, so the countertop height is right about here, so I'll have my windows open and get a nice breeze coming in, from those bunk windows. So that's what our mad scientist work has come up with. I'll get it screwed to the wall and put the bracket in, and you know, we'll have a lot of good rigidity there. All right, that is mounted. The next thing that I'm going to do is just take my level now and get all of this level, and then when I've done adjusting that, I'm going to put it in with 1 3/4 construction screws. So we're going to check it this way. That's good. And now we're going to check it this way. I think I'm going to put a screw in right there. We'll call this one proof of concept, because now we know the height and we know what the mounting hardware is. Take a look at this. 2 2x4s. There's the bracket for the actuator, which comes up to this bracket, and then on the other side, this is the hardware that was included. So like I said, I'm just using it. And how I mounted those 2x4s was I put 2 4-inch nails in there. I was gonna do 4, but I don't think I need 4. That's solid. That baby is solid, rock solid. All right, 1 down, 3 to go. This is kind of interesting. If you zoom in on that actuator, it looks like it's off, but that is how much of a taper there is in the van. I've been working and working and working on leveling that one. But it's level. I've got 3 actuators installed, and I was a little afraid to do this next test, but I thought just do it, you know, it'll be a validation. What I did was I took a long board and put it across 2 of the actuators that I have installed, one front, one back, and then I threw a level on it. Let's take a look. Here's the board that I put up here. I put it up on actuator 1 and actuator 2. And if we walk over to the level, nice. Nice, that is great. This rear actuator install took a lot more mad scientist work. I had to mount, you know, a couple of boards up here for that, and I'm actually going to get a leg screw to go in there. And I couldn't use the mounting hardware that came with this other than this. And then down here, I had to adhere this board to the brackets, and I did a really wonky cut on this board. And the reason that I did is because I want to be able to get my hand in there if I ever need to change one of my tail lights. So many things to think about. Yeah, we're getting there. One more. This one. Got to do this one. I'm out of time today. I have other commitments. Back again maybe tomorrow. I think it's time for a status check. Actuator install. Let's take a look. The van's getting a little crowded, but we've got all 4 actuators installed. This one will be coming up out of a kitchen counter. This one will be coming up out of the bench. These 2, they were a little tricky because down here I mentioned you have to be able to get your hand in there in order to change your light bulbs. Those were tight. So we got those in. The cables will run through here. I don't have them, you know, I don't have them fastened in yet, but I'll drill holes through here and fasten all the cables nice and neat. I want to show you, here's where the control switch will be. I'm thinking I'll mount it, you know, somewhere here on the wall when all is said and done. But I just want to show you how great the topper lift documentation is. Every cable is marked. So here's the battery cable, red, coming out of the switch, red. This runs up through my wire loom, down and across here, and down and out here. And the next thing I'm going to do is take up my floor and hook it up to the battery. So plenty of room for all of that. I got plenty of wire to do that run. And then the jumper cable is the green one. That's the one that comes up over here and connects the 2 sides together. And blue is the other end of the jumper cable, blue to blue. I mean, they make this so easy. You can't, you know, you can't really goof it up. So I have a lot of wire cleanup to do. You know, I've got everything installed. I am going to hook it up to the battery now, and then we'll do a test while it's all installed in the van. So anyway, yeah, next step, I'm going to pop open the battery compartment, which I've never done before, and I know I need a new battery, so this is a good time to take a look at all of that and figure out what kind of battery I need, and then hook this up. I'll run another wire loom down here and tuck that cable in. I just doing a quick status check, like I said. It's a huge, this was big for me. I don't do electrical, and trying to get these actuators level and, figuring out what to fasten them to in each position, that was big. But I did it, and I'm very happy. Good job, Em. For my actuator install, I pulled the cable through here with all the other ones, so it's this black cable. And what I did was I connected the negative down to this screw and the positive to this screw, and it's just laying right in the tray there. And that allows me to have an always-on bed lift. Now that we have everything hooked up to the battery, the new battery is installed in the van, and the van starts successfully. The next and final test is for us to fire up the actuators and see if they work too. Fingers crossed. It's the magic moment. Let's press the button. Since we've got them in the up position, we're going to put them down. And there they go. Nice. Yay, we did it. Yay! The last thing I might have to do is unhook the beeper on this. Let's take a look at the actuators in their down position now. I bought long piano hinges for the bench, and what will happen eventually is all of this will be boxed in. You won't see this. I'll box it in somehow nicely, and probably the bench seat will end here, and then, then we'll have a hinge that comes up from here. Same with down here. I'll box all this in. There will be a little bit of something sticking out, somewhere in here, because obviously there needs to be a hole in whatever I box in for that to come up. So the two will be boxed in. I'll have hinged lids on these, which I'm not going to put on yet because I have a lot of work to do in both of these benches. And then over here for the one that's coming up through the counter, if we just imagine that, there's a counter here, basically my sink will be here, and there will be a little hole in this counter where this is allowed to come up and down, but otherwise it'll be fully hidden. So wow, this is great. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of, what's next.